I don't know what news he's going to have today, but I'm excited to hear whatever it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Schefter.
Hey. Gentlemen, what's going on?
Shefty, let's start with what we were just chatting about there. Obviously, Brock Purdy is a guy who, for some reason, has a lot of people in their feelings of anger about him having the success that he's having. And yesterday he proved once again he's a guy. For the Niners, though, he's a guy that only costs like $800,000. So they're able to do a lot of things with that roster. How often do you think Lynch and Shanahan are projecting into the future for the roster when they know they got a couple years left of Brock Purdy being cheap here? And what are your thoughts on the Brock Purdy experiment that is taking place over there in San Francisco?
Well, the fact that he creates financial flexibility for them over the next couple of years is just an added bonus on top of the quarterback that he is, which is a starting quarterback in the NFL, which is a top 12 quarterback, which is a quarterback who is perfect for Kyle Shanahan and that system. And I have not bought into that Brock Purdy talk about him not being good enough at all from the moment that he played in the preseason a couple of years ago. He stood out. He shined. He proved that he was different, and he's had a couple of down moments in recent weeks. But the fact of the matter is when the games have been on the line, this guy's delivered. He has delivered every time. They believe in him. He's their quarterback. They're moving forward with him. And that contractual stuff that you're talking about, that's an added bonus that allows you to go make Nick Bosa the highest paid defensive player and go trade for Chase Young and do all kinds of things that you might not have to because you're paying your quarterback $45, $50 plus $1 million a year. They don't have to do that with him. They can spread out that money. So there's a real window for this team with him while he's on his rookie contract. But he's going to get paid too in time. And once he does, then some of the other options of flexibility dry up.
This is much like the Legion of Boom era with the Seattle Seahawks with Russell Wilson, the Los Angeles Rams era with Jared Goff. When he was on a rookie contract, they were able to pay everybody. This has shown success in the past. And then whenever you pay your quarterback, you got to do salary cap gymnastics and figure out how to keep a roster that's good enough to go win, like what Patrick Mahomes has done after getting paid. Well, go ahead.
Wait. When you take a rookie quarterback, it is the ultimate gamble. And if it hits, your team is set. The Houston Texans, for the next 3 years, are going to be able to have advantages that no other team has because they're going to have C.J. Stroud under contract, and they're going to be able to go out and get talent to surround him with because he's on his rookie deal. And so the Houston Texans become a Super Bowl favorite the next few years. Not to put any pressure, but that's how quickly it changes if you hit on a rookie quarterback. Not only do you get the benefit of him playing well, but you get the benefit of his contract, which is huge in this day and age where the top quarterbacks are being paid in excess of $45, $50 plus $1 million a year, and you don't have to, and you can't pay your rookie quarterback that amount of money. So the Niners are in that window right now. The Chiefs had it for a while with Mahomes. The Bengals had it with Burrow. Yeah. The Chargers had it with Herbert. Like, all these teams have had that window with those guys on a rookie contract. If the guy shows he can play early on, you got 2-3 years of incredible opportunities, and you want to try to take advantage of it while you can then. Some teams have, most teams haven't.
And to your point there's only one team out of those four that you talked about there that didn't get a chance to experience a Super Bowl on those rookie contracts. And that'd be the Chargers. That's why your guy, Harbaugh, needs to save their souls over there. Save their souls over there because that is a real benefit. It is. John Lynch is looking at it, walks into his office and sees whatever, dry erase board of his salary cap, and he sees the quarterback position as one of the smallest on the entire team, and he goes, thank God, because they had Jimmy G, let alone Trey Lance. Well, that would have been a number 3 overall, let alone a conversation happening right now. I think you're taking a couple flashes there. Let's stay with the San Francisco 49ers, though. Go ahead, Tone.
Yeah, Shefty, moving forward, the only injury thing I noticed was Christian McCaffrey on, I think it was his last carry of the game down the right sideline. He landed on his neck. I don't know if he came back in or not. Have we heard anything yet as far as the neck injury there?
Twice almost.
It was a nasty fall, and you could see that he was shaken up by it at the time. I don't think it's going to be an issue for the Super Bowl. I don't know whether he was concussed. I don't know if he ever went into the blue medical tent or whatever it may be. I promise you, Christian McCaffrey is going to be out there for the Super Bowl, despite that fall on his neck and head that was rather scary looking at the time.
Yeah, very scary looking. And I saw him working on his neck, and obviously it looked very painful. And him tapping out that close to potentially pick up his third touchdown, another whole conversation ever. Let's go to the other game that took place between the Chiefs and the Ravens. So now, every conversation is that the NFL rigged this to get Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl. What do you say, Schefter?
Absolutely, it was rigged. I mean, come on.
You even say they're going to clip that right there. Yeah. They're going to clip that. Adam Schefter. Look, because your name tag's even right underneath it. Adam Schefter, ESPN senior NFL insider. Oh, they definitely rigged it, but nonetheless,
it was rigged. It was rigged. It had nothing to do with Patrick Mahomes. It had nothing to do with Travis Kelce. It had nothing to do with Andy Reid. Nothing to do with the way that this champion has played. It had everything to do with the NFL scriptwriters and them wanting to make sure that they got Taylor Swift back from her concert in Tokyo to be in the stadium in Las Vegas in time for the Super Bowl because the ratings weren't going to be high enough. So they wanted to make sure they're even higher for the Super Bowl. And they wanted to bring just a little extra juice to a game that, frankly, was just a flat matchup.
Yeah.
So, yes, it worked out very well. And the NFL was able to manage to rig the game. And now Taylor Swift will be there. It's great.
Super Bowl, kind of a dud this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
kind
in
of a dud.
Vegas.
It's a Super Bowl, but is it?
Yeah.
What are we? Taylor Swift. Imagine.
That's how.
Okay. So now we need. Okay. It is wild, dude. It is. That's how successful the NFL is, though, and that's how passionate fans are. That they'll get themselves to that point. Like, there's people with everything you just said right there who are like, yes, exactly. All the way in on it. And when you see some calls get made at certain times, obviously that adds to the fodder. But I am very pumped that this dynasty. You getting news there?
No.
But remember, you also told us that the passing of the torch was between J.J. McCarthy and.
Yeah. Right.
So you will lie literally right through those teeth, right to us. So we always have to kind of read your body language to see if you're telling the truth or not. And we've talked to numerous people about this. We actually even got a chance to talk to Nate Taylor, who works for The Athletic over there in Kansas City. There was rumors about Andy Reid loud at the end of last week. Post us talking on Monday last week, end of last week, it was like, this could be Andy Reid's last game coaching in here. This just kind of comes with the whole progress or the whole thing about being an older gentleman who already has a resume that is Hall of Fame worthy and has already had success. And this is just the new normal for the Chiefs? Or why do you think this became a topic of conversation? Because everybody sees how much fun, seemingly, Andy Reid is having coaching this particular Chiefs team.
Yeah.
Why would you ever want to leave that is another thought.
Well, you wouldn't. But again, I think it's fair to wonder. Right now, I think he's the most tenured, senior-most coach in the NFL. So if you're in that position, inevitably, questions are just naturally going to arise. Again, there are people out there who have wondered about it. If the Chiefs were to win, could Andy Reid walk away? I mean, that's been a question that's been out there. I think he's done it so long, got a big family. Physically, it's a hard job. Do you keep doing it? I mean, to me, when you're coaching Patrick Mahomes, it couldn't be any better than that. But the fact of the matter is, for everybody, there comes a time, and you just decide that that's enough, and you want to go do other things in your life. And
Tom Moore's still coaching. Tom Moore is 95 years old, still coaching. Yeah. It doesn't come for everybody, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And Andy Reid, it's like he waited his entire career to potentially get something like this. Feels like a football guy. The way he spoke about the ball, he was like very classy too on the stage where he talked about Baltimore and Harbaugh, and then Kansas City, we love you. It's like he feels like a guy that I would have loved to play for. Every time I hear him speak, and
people
I think
love
everybody,
him.
yeah,
people love him. People love him. I mean, he's a beloved coach, and he's done it so long, and he's so respected, and he's held in such high regard. But again, there are people out there who have wondered. Who knows if it's right? It's his decision. It's his life. He gets to do whatever he wants. They're not forcing him out. But the questions come up. The question has come up in the past, and the question will come up again in the future. And only he gets to answer that.
We talk about the offense for Kansas City, obviously, but yesterday, different stars. Go ahead, D-Butt.
Yeah, held this Ravens team to 10 points, but they've been great all season long, and this is nothing new for Spags. A few Super Bowl titles under his belt as a DC. Why hasn't there been any, I guess, energy around him being a head coach in the league? I know he's been a great DC for a long time, but has he come out and say he doesn't want to be a head coach, wants to be the Chiefs long term? What is it about Spags and head coach that's not happening?
You know what? I just think he's been around so long and he's so respected that people just kind of overlook it after a while. He was the head coach of the St. Louis. Was it the St. Louis Rams? I think it was the St. Louis Rams.
Long time.
That shows you how long that he's been doing it for. And I think it's like life. People just like the new hot flavor. And and he's the old reliable BlackBerry phone that you can always count on. It may not be it's trendy. Everybody's got the new iPhone, and he's the BlackBerry. It's the old model, but it still works really well and it's still really dependable. But people don't think when they're going to get a new phone, I'm going to go get the BlackBerry model. I'm going to go get the new iPhone 14. That's how they think about it. And I think that it's like that with him. Like they're looking for the hot new coach, and a lot of these guys that are out there, they're in their mid-30s, and Steve's in his early 60s. So that's not the first place they're thinking when they're going to get a head coach.
Man, good
Fair
for
or not.
Hey, good for the Chiefs.
Yeah,
You
great
know,
for the Chiefs.
we talk about like up there in Detroit, we don't know who's going to be Commanders head coach. Is Ben Johnson going to end up there, or is Aaron Glenn? We thought he was going to go to the Titans. Like potentially both.
Or Anthony Weaver or Mike McDonald.
Okay, so that's on the other side of the whole thing. But it's like getting a chance to have both of your coordinators stay is like such a weapon these days, especially whenever you look at the stats of like since 2022, every single team has changed their offensive coordinator at least one. It's like it's been so Andy Reid and Spags potentially get a chance to run this back again. And then what again? And then what again?
Right.
And then what again? It's like that's a match made in heaven, especially if you're Chiefs fans. Speaking of Chiefs, though, go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Schefter, do we have any updates on Joe Thuney's health? I think all of us were kind of shocked when we heard that he wasn't going to be playing on Sunday, and obviously he tried to go with like the pec strain. Is there any thought that he might not be good to go for the Super Bowl, or what does that kind of look like moving forward?
Well, it's not a strain; it's a torn pec that he's dealing with, and the chances are, the overwhelming chances are, he's not going to play. We said last week on Wednesday that he was unlikely to play, not expected to play. Chiefs were poised to be without him, and they were without him. And the chances are, the overwhelming chances are, they'll be without him for the Super Bowl. And Nick Allegretti stepped in there yesterday, did a great job. Guy's been in their system for 5 or so years, knows exactly what he's doing. And look, you would have thought losing Thuney was a blow, but it's something that they were able to overcome, and the overwhelming chances are they're going to have to overcome it again, being that he's dealing with that torn pec that they're still trying to figure out whether or not he's going to have operated on after the year.
Okay, so them just continuing to be able to move with losing an all-pro in the middle of there against that Ravens team is just so stupid. You said he's been there for 5-6 years, though. I don't think any of us really knew that until you were saying it. It's like, of course, the Chiefs have a backup at the one position for 5-6 years. We're in the middle of the next dynasty right now. And I think we all have to remember that, because I don't know what you picked or if you make picks or not. A lot of people were picking against that Chiefs team this past weekend. I mean, not only sports books, but everybody was like, this Ravens team, dominant. What do you think the story is in Baltimore today? What do you think Harbaugh and them are talking about to maybe get over the hump and get this team? Because we've loved watching this Ravens team. We obviously think they're incredibly talented. They only lose by 7 to the reigning champs, and Lamar, and everybody's talked about it. But what do you think they're thinking about today? Is it free agency again? Do they change some stuff up? They had to love what Monken did. Like, how do you think Baltimore handles what happened to them yesterday?
It's a really hard thing. I mean, you're going to have some long, hard conversations about that, because this is a team that was coming off its best season that, as you mentioned, I think most people expected to prevail and win and advance to the Super Bowl. The odds makers in Las Vegas established them as a favorite over the Chiefs, and they came out and played a very atypical Baltimore game. The defense was not as sound as it was earlier in the season. The offense didn't move or run the football the way that it did earlier in the season. They just lost that mojo, and that's what's incredible about the NFL is you could have this dominant season and just walk all over people, and then it's over in one afternoon. And so they're going to be looking to make changes every year. As you mentioned, you were talking about your Colts team. You know it's not the same roster. They're going to make changes. They have a lot of players who are key free agents. Very few teams, if any, have done a better job of adding personnel and uncovering added players to make that roster better. And honestly, Pat, I think they just have to go back and run it back and try it again. Like, run it back again next year, have Lamar play like that again, and you hope that when you get to the postseason that it's different. I don't know what Lamar has to do. The record in the postseason is subpar. He has not played the same way in big moments that he has in all other moments. I don't know why that is. Yeah. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it certainly talks about everywhere. Yeah. And then people talk about talking about it a lot on the internet as well. That's a whole nother sub-conversation that takes place. But that team beat 11 winning teams this year, I think.
By
I think a margin.
Destroyed them.
Yeah, like they
Destroyed them.
They proved themselves literally all year that they could play against the best competition, which is why whenever you talk about playoffs and they go, look at this guy's stats in the playoffs, it's like, well, you're playing, these are the best teams, regardless in the playoffs. So it's a little bit of
game plans too.
Yeah, greatest coaches, best coaches, best teams. It's like there's a reason it gets the road gets a little tighter towards the end there. So whenever playoff stats are brought up, it's like, yeah, I understand. But man, this year felt like it was different for the Ravens.
Yeah.
And it just ended in the same exact way. Now, is that because the Chiefs, do the Chiefs win them mind games before they even get in there?
Maybe.
And it's like you think to yourself, like, here we are. Or were they too confident? Like, did they think this Chiefs team is banged up and not ready to go? Like, I wonder what it is, what actually leads to it. And I assume they'll be thinking about that all offseason.
I think we start with the fact that 15 is cold-blooded. That's it.
Serial killer, dude.
Yeah.
Absolute
that's it.
serial killer, that guy.
When you got 15 out there, like he came out first drive down the field.
Look at this kid.
I mean, it's just there's certain, like you say, oh boy, we're in for it today, and you just know. And that guy, and by the way, like look at Travis Kelce's numbers in the postseason. They are off the charts. And so
Greatest
these guys,
ever. The greatest ever. Yeah, that's what he is.
Yeah. Ari, look at the numbers in his last 12 playoff games, okay? Is there a game in there with fewer than 6 catches, 5 catches? I mean,
108.
fewest number is 71 yards. So fewest is 5, 71, scores in almost every game, produces. It's like, it's the playoffs. 15 and 87 are dialing it up. They're dialing it up hot, and they're going to beat you. They're going to beat you. That's just the way it's been most every time. It's the rarity when a team beats them. I don't care where they're playing. It's rare. And the 49ers will have that chance to do that. And so we'll see how that goes, but that is a deadly duo.
What was that?
It's a text from somebody.
What's your deal?
Come on.
Just let it slip.
What do you want me to tell you? What's my deal?
We need to send you some edibles, Get him in there so he just accidentally.
Yeah.
Loosens him
Oh,
up.
this is actually a text from, boom, John Lynch just texted me.
Good text.
Four.
A compliment or news?
Looking good.
Good text.
Already spent.
What does that mean?
What the
Good
hell?
text. Like it was properly worded? Like the grammar was good?
Wait, let's put it this way. When we hang up here, we're going to be busy returning some calls and texts in regards to some information that may or may not have to do with some things going on in the league.
In which parts of the league? I don't have to do this full guess who thing, but does it have a mustache? Does it wear glasses? Like where are we headed? What type? Is this coordinator job? Head coaching job? Players stuff?
I got somebody texting me, and they want to know what it's going to take to get you off this damn network and get you back to punting. I don't know. Like, you just tell me what's it going to take to get that done.
Is it the Chiefs?
The number that's being reported, by everybody as what the deal is, that ain't going to be enough. It's going to have to be more than that. But also, I'm going to need about 2 to 3 months to get these urine and blood clear.
Yep.
That's right.
I'm not passing any of these tests that they're going to put me in. But if it's a Super Bowl team,
You know what? That's
we can
funny.
lie for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think so.
I could look at your. Sometimes I see your eyes, Pat, and I could see that you wouldn't pass these tests. I can see that.
They lightened the THC test from what I've been told, which is good news. It's the science, I think, that I'm experiencing right now that they're going to have the biggest issue with.
Sure.
But we can hide that for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's some Russian scientist that we can certainly figure out.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to see the news that you broke. Connor has a question for you here, and you probably won't say anything, actually.
Yeah, you definitely won. And we all know it's Ben Johnson, the Commanders, is the news that you just got. That's clearly a done deal. But looking at the, both those teams as a whole, how many guys, you just mentioned, McDonald and another one from the Ravens, how many guys are going to get poached from the Ravens staff and the Lions staff that maybe we don't even know about, too? Like, I know New England brought in the Lions pass game coordinator to interview for the offensive coordinator job. Are there going to be a lot of those as well, or are we possibly just going to see some of those big names leave and the rest of, the kind of coaching staff stay together?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I'm not convinced yet that Ben Johnson's getting the Commander's job. I know people have said that he's the presumptive favorite, and he may get the job. Like, he very well may. He's in contention. But that is not a slam dunk at all right now. And they are definitely looking at other people as well. And again, they may come back to Ben Johnson. But I think that they're pretty impressed with Mike McDonald and Aaron Glenn and Anthony Weaver as well. And I think those guys are going to have a legitimate chance to get that job. And then Ben Johnson's also in play in Seattle. So you have to see, okay, well, if he doesn't get Washington, is he then in Seattle? Or does Seattle pull an upset? Again, people have said here that they think Ben Johnson is going to Washington and Dan Quinn is going to Seattle.
Yes.
And I will bet you that at a minimum, one of those is not right. At a minimum.
Okay.
Maybe both.
Whoa! Whoa!
Let's go!
Whoa!
We'll see.
All right. So
By the way,
where's Dan Quinn going? Back to Dallas? What about Vrabes? Where's Vrabes at in this entire thing? Bill Belichick? He's not doing anything? What?
Pete?
I have so many more questions now.
Rivera?
you know,
that you're saying.
Vrabes, I believe that Vrabes would have been the guy in L.A. if Harbaugh didn't get the job there. If Harbaugh had gotten on the plane to go to Atlanta, I think Vrabel would have been the next guy that the Chargers turned to and would have got that job.
Okay, so now Vrabes is heading back to Ohio State on a $13 million a year NIL deal to be a consultant
That'd be
there.
smart.
So Michigan can keep doing what they're doing. Bill Belichick, we're just assuming is taking a year off. He's going to do TV, hopefully on this show once a week.
I think that he's sitting back and waiting, and he's going to see how this all evolves still. And by the way, again, there still are 2 openings, and neither one has contacted him yet. But what I would also say is, let's see how these couple of days go. And let's see if somehow, in a long shot, unlikely way, he enters the picture in one of them. I don't think it's likely, but it's not, until the jobs are filled, he's still out there.